So, the dynamic landscape of world affairs has always been underpinned by the increasingly complex and at times ferocious consequence of geopolitics. And this often used term is perhaps the most used by investors when dealing with international affairs, but I'm afraid is probably the least understood by them also. Typically used to describe the relationship between two nations, this definition, although a good one, doesn't really give too much depth to the actual concept of geopolitics and the effects that it actually has on international affairs. I'm going to really be able to give you four key characteristics of what geopolitics is and the factors which influence a nation's influence and power in different parts of the world. Well, firstly, we can look at something called the immovable realities of a nation state, which go to define its size and location on the world map. And as part of that, its influence and also its strategic ability to use maritime choke points, for example, as part of its advantage. And also in relation to where that nation sits to other nations and the relationships that they have with each other, I think is very important to consider as a first point of geopolitics. Secondly, we see things like the natural advantages of states playing a big part of the geopolitical success of a nation. This includes things like natural resources that a nation has within its borders, so whether it's oil or gas or metals or minerals or things like this. Secondly, its terrain is also a major part of its geopolitics, and also its climate is also very important to how it uses these aspects in world affairs. Thirdly, the third factor in geopolitics is a nation's fluid capabilities. Now, this goes to define the leadership's ability to use the first two factors to its advantage, but also its competence of its socio-economic position, its political landscape, and also what political system it uses, its strength of its international alliances is also something which is part of its fluid capabilities, its robustness of its institutions, and also the reliability and strength of its financial systems is also something which really counts in terms of geopolitics. And here I use this term when describing a nation's hybrid warfare capabilities. So its ability to use other things apart from kinetic warfare in its mission to subvert or to use its power against one nation or a series of them. So that's number three. And fourthly, and certainly not last, is its technological leadership. Now, this is perhaps the newest factor which has been added onto this list for the last 20 years now. And this, well, perhaps even more than 20 years, but this goes to really show how technologically able nations are to use new technologies like AI or big data and others as part of its state infrastructure, and to produce companies and to produce technologies which keep it or bring it to the forefront of innovation, also in terms of its power politics in different parts of the world, and also its ability to pass its technological capabilities to other nations to help them also elevate in its own ambitions and agendas in different parts of the world. So as a whole, I hope I've gotten a bit more deep for you. These are the four things that I see as playing the biggest factor in terms of geopolitics and actually putting a definition, a wider and deeper definition to what that term actually means for investors.